Okay.
Dan, do you think we should record it or not?
I guess we don't need to record this necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think we
It's
need
just
to.
informal. So, okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started, everyone? You haven't met Larry yet, but Larry Wilk is he's an adjunct professor here, teaches in the MIE program. I think actually this year you're kind of leading that whole program, and he's been active in the New Venture Competition with myself and David for many years now. So, this is kind of part of the brain trust here, and we're here to help in any way we possibly can and encourage. So happy to take any questions that you have. I'm sure most of the questions pertain to everyone on the call here or everyone in the Zoom.
Dan, can I apologize? I wasn't here, but I was teaching a class on creativity and innovation.
Okay.
That's why I was late. I was.
Oh, we'll excuse you, Larry. So
there you go. Thanks. Yes, we're here to answer any of your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So who would like to jump in first? I see Scott, Nate. Let's see who else is on here. I don't see everybody. Gallery. Oh, there we go. Oh, Caitlin, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi Dan. Hi Deepak. Hi Larry. I recognize some faces.
So
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So Caitlin was actually part of a team last year and learned a lot, I think, right? And is back. So we certainly encourage that. We've had, as Caleb mentioned before in his presentation, he also entered 1 year, learned a lot, I think. And we certainly encouraged him to take what he learned and come back in a bigger and better way. And he went on to win. So, so that opportunity is also out there. So not making the final cut is not the be all and end all. There's a lot of skills you'll gain. And at the same time, you're free to participate in another team or come back the following year. So any
Deepak has his hand up. Yes, you have a question or a comment?
I didn't see that up there, Deepak. Go ahead.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Larry. How are you?
Great.
So I have an idea, but I don't have a team. So I don't know how many people have this same question, but it's like with this COVID age and like not interacting or going on Zoom, it is little bit of like workaround challenging. So two questions come to my mind. The first is like how can I get other people to join the team? That's the first question. Second is like I know nobody can predict, but is it like we are looking in next 1 month to come on campus?
That part is hard to tell. I know we're hopeful that we can resume in person at some point in the near future, but we had to, because everything shut down, we had to very quickly kind of compress this competition. That's why the workshop on Monday, we're going to be covering a lot of ground. Larry and I will be. But in terms of finding team members, it's always the most challenging part, I think, for teams initially. That's why when we're in person and have the mixers, it's really easy because you can just approach people or they can approach you. And we often give you an open mic to get up and just share your idea for a moment or two. But in lieu of that, Jen has posted some links, I believe, to Padlet, where you can go on, she mentioned, and actually just discuss, what you're looking for, what your needs are as a team. And through that, hopefully a few people will come to light. I think, Caleb, you mentioned that you found some folks last year. Was it on Discord or where did you go to find
Yeah.
them?
So last year there was an unofficial Discord server that was created.
Mm-hmm.
I met Nate here on the call through that, and Nate is still, we're on a team together even now.
That's right. Oh, I remember Nate now. Okay.
Yeah. So now this year though, Jen has set up an official UCI New Venture Competition Discord. So I definitely highly recommend joining that. I just put out, Deepak, I just put out, there's like separate channels for each type of service that you're doing. And I just put like, hi, I'm Caleb. I'm doing something for the climate and food insecurity. If you're interested in that, hit me up. And a number of people hit me up, and Nate was like amazing, and a few others that ended up being on my team. So I definitely recommend that. It's a great, and you know, to your point, last year was all online too, right? All on Zoom, but or Zoom or Discord or whatever. But Nate, Sarah, Anjan, and I, you know, we worked digitally, and we're still able to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Which is great, and congratulations, by the way, for making it into the two incubators. Quite an accomplishment. So
thank you for your help, Dan. I mean, Dan was very helpful. There's been a lot of mentors through New Venture Competition that were so helpful to us. So yeah, thank you.
I think the main way I helped you was you got something here, you've got what it takes, come back next year and show it. So,
Yes,
you did.
yes,
You brought it.
true.
So anyway,
And
other questions?
Dan, let me ask, the official communication I saw earlier today, the school is still targeting for us to be back on campus January 31st.
Okay.
So there's been no other communication. Obviously, it's subject to change.
Mm-hmm.
The last that I saw today was January 31st. Once they're comfortable with group activities, we'll be in person.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay,
we're very comfortable in a virtual world. We've been doing it for a while now.
I think you just kind of have to keep checking back in on the competition website, because obviously as soon as there might be a little bit of a lag from the time that you go back in person to class and we actually go back to in-person events. Now, normally we do hold our events, our workshops. I think we're scheduled for the Mirage Auditorium, right?
Yes.
On the main level of the Mirage School. Because as we go forward, the workshops will start off big, and especially after we get through the concept paper round, it'll pretty much get cut in half. That doesn't mean you have to leave. Once again, you can continue coming to the workshops, which we encourage, or you can join another team. But the size does go down a little bit, but still that room accommodates, and we have the I hate to say the party space, but the party space next door, so we can have happy hour afterward and mingle, and as I mentioned earlier, that's where a lot of the action happens. Really, a lot of the organic conversations with judges and mentors and running across an additional team member. So that networking piece is key. So
and let me add, regardless, once we're in person, we will continue to record the sessions on Zoom and post afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be dual modality because it's hard to do from the auditorium. So if you're not comfortable being in a large group on campus, you can still participate by watching the recordings.
Hey, Steve, I just want to say hi. I hadn't seen you earlier. Steve has been a mentor, coach, mentor for many years. So it's good to see you. Other questions? Oh, it can't be all that straightforward.
Caitlin has a question.
Okay. I didn't open my chat.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Larry. I was wondering more about the stage a company should be at. I remember David in the slideshow did mention pre-incubation, but I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on that.
Well, there were a couple of different parameters. The first one was that your idea really cannot have been in existence prior to January 2020. Again, we do that to be fair. If you've been working on it for 10 years and suddenly you jump in the competition, you have an unfair advantage. So, we try and limit that. And again, the whole intent of this program is for your learning, right? That's the whole purpose. In terms of, let me think here. Other parameters, Larry, you might want to jump in and help me out here. I'm kind of drawing a blank at the moment. State the question one more time, Caitlin, because I'm not sure I covered it all.
Yeah, I saw on the slides, I knew that you just mentioned that a company can't be in formation before 2020, or the idea couldn't have been, but there was also something mentioning incubation and how a company should not be incubated yet.
So you should be in pre-incubation mode. In other words, you're not part of the Wayfinder program yet. You can go into the Wayfinder program after the competition, but you're not part of an incubation program yet. You also haven't received more than, I believe it's $10,000 in funding. So, if you receive funding from friends and family, that's okay. But again, it's just, we're trying to create a level playing field, right? So you all have a fair shot at this.
I'd like to talk a little bit about getting started.
Mhm.
So when you first get an idea,
Mhm.
one thing you can do is you can start to Google or search for anybody who might be a competitor, a brand that would be known and be visible to to a Google search. In addition to competitors, you also want to identify a segment, the
Mhm.
actual name of a segment that you might be joining. And what that does, it gives you a broader view. You can look, you'll find a segment, maybe it's a big segment and it's not exactly what you have. There's maybe an adjacent segment that you're thinking about that doesn't exist. And by using the keyword phrases to find segments or competitors, though the words in those phrases can become the name of the segment. So it really helps you as you try to explain your concept. You say, well, we're in this segment. And that's a good kickoff point to then go on and describe about how you're going to be in the competitive landscape versus the other competitors and the other segments.
And again, Steve brings up a good point here, because you may have this grand vision ultimately of where you want to go. Most successful companies do have that. However, you only have look at your resources, they're minimal, right? So it's not realistic that you're going to go right to that immediately out of the gate. So, what to look at is, okay, this is where you're going to be ultimately, but initially this is where the opportunity is that we see, and where we believe we can gain a foothold and get into the market. You're filling a void that hasn't been filled yet. So, and then once you're successful there, then you can expand into other segments. So there's a question here: does the business need to be making revenue? Does that weigh on the point system? No, it does not have to be making revenue. Some teams are in revenue by the time they hit the finals, or even before that. That's okay. I mean, actually, when someone gives you money, it's proof of that your idea holds value, right? It's validating your idea. Because until someone gives you money, you have no proof that someone wants what it is you're pitching or promoting. Now, the whole idea in the competition is not to necessarily make money, but to help you understand what it takes for you to get to that point in terms of your overall business strategy.
Good evening, everyone.
Who is that?
David.
Oh, it's David.
Recording in progress.
Hey, David.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah. So again, you don't have to be in revenue. I mean,
so hopefully you didn't have to get cut off too quickly for the networking part that obviously you guys won't be able to take advantage.
What's that?
Yeah, so I actually just sent an email to all attendees that attended and to join this
I see.
meeting if they need.
Okay.
So I see
Yeah.
William has a question. He's been patient.
Okay, go ahead, William.
I was just going to ask, so once we have an idea, is this competition more based on doing like market analysis, consumer analysis, and things like that, and actually pitching the product, or actually developing it too in the process?
It's both. It's kind of one and the same. I mean, you have to do a lot of legwork up front, to figure out, is there an opportunity for you in the marketplace, first of all. Yeah. And then, we certainly encourage teams to get out there and talk, to your target audience and get reaction, hear their thoughts, use that to refine your solution, your product. I mean, hey, in today's day and age, if you're going to do a physical product, you have 3D printing. You can do a mock-up, and have that with you as you go into pitch or present.
Right. Yeah.
Larry?
Yeah, Dan, let me remind everyone, we have a number of workshops that are going to go through in great detail every step of the New Venture competition. Tonight was a kickoff to get you excited about the opportunities. You met 4 of our successful entrepreneurs, but starting Monday, we will talk about how to get an idea, how to form a team, how to do a concept paper, how to do a business model, and take you through over 8 or 10 workshops, the entire process.
And
So I know you have a lot of questions, but we're going to take you through that one step at a time, from starting with the idea all the way to what it takes to pitch to our coaches, judges, and potential investors.
so it's really to teach you, how do you go from a vision or an idea through a concept that you develop to an actual theoretical business that you've developed, and what it takes to get there, and how you would go about presenting to potential investors, as well as answering questions that they would throw at you, but to be prepared for how to handle those questions. So I think that's what's so invaluable about this competition. You're not going to get this through your regular coursework. It will only augment what you're doing at UCI today. And I think it's a skill set that you will find will be invaluable as you go forward in your life and your career.
So I think Alyssa has a question. Alyssa?
Go ahead, Alyssa.
Hi. I just have a quick question regarding to like which stage we are able to looking for a particular mentor, or how we actually seeking for a mentor for help.
Okay, so I think more of that information will come out from Jen from the Beal Center as we go forward. She posted a couple links today, so you can begin to reach out to find team members. We do have a whole mentor or coach kind of matching process. We have, Steve is one of those, for example, and we have a roster of about 40, 50, and we do our best to try and match people with the relevant experience that you might need, or relevant industry or business experience that you might need with you. It's not perfect, but go ahead, Chandra.
Quickly wanted to point out, we have this Padlet that you guys can actually go on. I believe we dropped the link. Do we have the link in this chat right now? Okay, I'll go ahead and drop. Yeah, I'll go ahead and drop the Padlet link real quick in the chat. And over there, you guys can put down, right there, you guys. So if you see like the last link, it says Padlet. If you just go ahead and click that, and if you guys don't mind, can I share my screen real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Just gonna quickly share this with you guys. Okay, perfect, you guys. As you can see this here, you can add your information. This is like the main one right here, the pink one. You can talk about or your name, just give your name, information, contact, what your school is, and then just pick if you want to join a team, and if you already have an idea, or if you have an idea, and if you don't have an idea and you just want to become a team member, and if you have an idea and you have your team ready to go, you can also mention that, and then just mention a little bit about your idea that you want to talk about, and then if you're looking for a team member, talk about what skills you're looking for. And if you are looking to become a team member and you don't have an idea, maybe just mention what skills you have. That way other members who are looking for team members can look for your skills and they can reach out to you. So like add your information, contact information, what's the best way to reach out to you, your email or your phone, and and maybe a fun fact about yourself, and then color code them right here, but just use this link and just put your information there. And if anything, we'll also use this to connect you guys. So.
And what, Chandra, what about coaches? Are they going to also use a Padlet type environment?
Yes, they definitely can. Coaches can also come in here, put their information and talk about, I'll put that in here. They can talk about their industry and what industry they worked in, and how would they like to help out.
I think this is a great organic way to, have people find one another.
Yeah, definitely. So just quickly post in there, and we will reach out to you guys, and you guys can see everyone else's answers. So that way you can also reach out to these people individually.
Great.
Yes, I also want to add that with Padlet, it's mostly text-based. With Discord, you also have a room that you can connect. You can make a meeting with another person, and you can chat within Discord as well. So you don't need to go to another link. You don't need to go to another Zoom or something like that. And so Discord is an amazing place that you can both text and links, you can send pictures, any files, and Chandra was showing you how easy it is to get onto Discord.
Yeah, but I think it's not letting me log in right away.
Let me clarify. Can I clarify one thing? We assign coaches after the concept paper round.
Correct.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean you can't have some informal advice like Steve and from Dan and myself, but the official assignment of coaches to teams happens after the concept paper.
Yeah, although it's not never too soon to start.
You can start recruiting, but you know, with 400 participants in past years and 100 teams, we can't really provide the real support. But once your idea is approved by the judges, then we try very hard to match every team with a coach, or at least make that available to you.
Thank you so much. That's actually exactly what I tried to ask. Yeah, thank you.
Good. That's great. Other questions? We're here to help you win. Okay, so there's a lot of money at stake. We'll get into that later in the competition, but anyway, it's a good motivator.
So I think I can bring back a few questions that we were answering in the webinar earlier.
Okay.
So one person asked if when do we need to have the 2 UCI students for the team?
The answer is after the concept paper.
Yeah, it's going to be in round 2 in the boardroom round where you'll be developing your pitch deck. And that's where we'll have a date at which point you'll have to have those people on board. And you'll also decide who holds which role as well. So who's in the CEO role, or is it the CMO role, or is it the CTO role? But that will all be coming in the next many weeks.
Right, but so there's a requirement you have students after the concept paper, but the most successful teams are not sole individuals.
Right.
Got a lot of work to do. Get people to help you now, figure out what you're not good at, and find someone to help you. Because of the virtual environment, we've said we know it'll be tough, so you don't have to have someone. But the most successful teams typically have found partners to help them early on. I see Caleb shaking his head. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, Caleb and Nate are great examples because Caleb was a mechanical engineer, staff at UCI, and Nate, I believe you're a filmmaker, as I recall. And so, you know, very different skill sets, but at the same time, I mean, you have to have someone doing more of the technical stuff and figuring it out, and someone else figuring out how to promote it. You know, how are you going to take it to market? How are you going to tell people about it? How are you going to craft your story? And you know, so very, very complimentary.
I would totally agree. I mean, I found Nate, Sarah, Anjan all before the concept paper submission, and we all contributed to the concept paper. I don't think we would have gotten through if it weren't for all 4 of us. And to highlight Nate again, he has an incredible design eye, so he was able to help us get that concept paper looking really nice and conveying the message that we wanted it to. So yeah, by myself, no way.
Yeah, because like, for example, your logo, I remember you guys spent a lot of time just, you know, trying to develop a logo that kind of was indicative of your business. But yeah, I mean, that's typically not, you know, a core competency of a mechanical engineer, designing logos or other creative things, but whatever. But I think it's a good example of, you know, how you find complementary team members and the value they add.
Right. Jen, what else?
Oops, I'm muted. Okay, so, and let me see, hold on. Let me compile all the questions. If a team consists, can I have a non-UCI person come onto the team?
Yeah, the answer is yes. I think, you know, David did cover that. Again, the minimums are you have to have at least 2 registered UCI students on your team. You have to have a minimum of 4 people on your team. Again, that's to encourage this, a well-balanced team. At 6, it starts to get a little top heavy, but 4 or 5 is a great number.
Right, and we don't accept traveling pitch teams that go
Yes.
competition to competition.
Right.
UCI-based competition.
Right. We've
That is our focus.
had those over the years, and we've done our best to make sure that they don't corrupt our program, our competition. So
Okay, and so with that, can UCI graduates count
yes.
as one of the 2 UCI members?
No, not one of the 2 UCI members, because they have to be
They
2,
can't be the student. They're not a student anymore.
but they can be on a team because
Yes.
they're affiliated with UCI. Just as Caleb wasn't even a student. I mean, I don't know, Caleb, did you graduate from UCI? I can't recall, but
Oh, UC San Diego, but I was a staff member here.
right, but you were on staff at
So,
UCI.
yeah, part of the UCI community. Okay.
Right. So he's certainly qualified.
Yeah.
In fact, we were excited to have a staff member, participate.
Just to be clear, graduate students are okay,
Mhm.
not graduate. The 2 need to be current students,
Mhm.
undergrad, graduate, PhD.
And I would even go so far to say, if you found, let's say that you had some sort of a biotech idea, you could even go and find a professor, at UCI who could lend his domain expertise,
Yeah.
and be on the team or be an advisor. You could go outside into the community at large and find a doctor, for example, with that type of domain expertise, and have them be part of your team. The only caveat is that any advisors you bring on or any coaches cannot be there during the pitches, the boardroom pitches. We don't want any undue influence. It comes down to you for that. But yeah, we're pretty flexible that way. But there are a few basic rules.
Yeah, and I think Kathy asked, who is required to pitch? Does it have to be a UCI student or anyone can join a team?
I mean, that's a good question. I guess anyone on a team can pitch, as long as they're valid team members. At the same time, and we've had some teams that just have one person on the team pitch. We have teams that have 2 or more people pitch, or they divide up the Q&A. One person pitches, the rest of the team handles various different types of Q&A questions. If a finance question comes up, this person takes it. If a marketing question comes up, this person takes it. I think that way works probably best because you only have 10 minutes to pitch. Again, this is pretty far off. This is in May we're talking about, but we'll be talking about more of these types of recommendations as we go forward.
But again, we've been doing this a long time. We're very sensitive to students being added to the team just as window dressing.
Right.
So if the student's not involved in the project and the judges detect it, you will not win.
Yeah, I also want to add that in the latest stage, we have a workshop that like specifically for how to pitch, how to answer Q&A, how do you supposed to dress yourself, how do you appear on Zoom, because if we're able to go in person, that's amazing. But then on Zoom, it's a little bit more tricky. So we do have a workshop for that as well.
And if I can answer Justin's question, we will be sharing the judging guidelines, but it's a standard lean startup. Desirability, does a customer want it? Feasibility, can we actually bring this to market? And viability, can we make money? Those are usually the 3 top criteria. Sometimes we'll also talk about scalability. But again, you don't need a patent. Is it desirable, feasible, viable, and scalable? That's kind of, now we'll share with you, it's more detail in the pitch deck that each element of the pitch deck is evaluated. But
so what that kind of goes back to is, the idea needs to be realistic. Don't make it comically, comic, I can't even say the word, but just don't make it so outlandish that people look at you like, oh, come on, right? I mean, you don't want to get shut out. I mean, why spend the time? So again, you want to make it realistic.
Not a space elevator.
I have a question regarding that then. So in terms of realistic, will we have to consider kind of legal factors, potential, lawsuits that we can get into? Do we have to, are those things that we need to address?
I mean, if it's going to take $100 million in funding, okay, that's probably not realistic right out of the gate. Or if it's something that just isn't viable, you're going to start a business somewhere halfway around the world, and you don't even have any presence there. I don't know. Or you're designing a pill that is all you need to eat every day to get all your calories. I mean, I'm just throwing out crazy ideas, but you don't want to be marked or seen as kind of, unrealistic.
Well, let me help Dan a different way.
Yeah.
So we want to know that there's a path to some sort of legal protection, but we don't require you to have a patent to bring your idea here.
Okay.
It's also true the idea has to be legal.
Exactly. You can't, it has to be original. We say you can't be stealing an idea that's
It has to be original too, but I mean, it can't be artificial cocaine. Sorry, we're not going there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my question is, like, if you think about Airbnb, right, renting rooms out of people's homes, there could be a lot of legal factors that they didn't consider, but they started thinking about along the way. So things like that, is that something we should address, think about?
I think it's a good question, Justin. I think that might be somewhat premature for the competition. Typically, teams will begin to explore that after the competition as they look to incorporate. They look to protect IP that they may have. Some teams have already done that in advance, early, but in general, we tend to see that after the fact. A lot of teams will use their winnings to do that, to pay for incorporation, to pay for IP, research or the filing of a potential patent. So,
yeah, let me ask it a different way.
Yeah.
One of the elements of your pitch deck is going to be the challenges and how you're going to mitigate it. So we're asking you to anticipate the issues you expect to have in launching your product and tell us how you're going to handle that. So one of the issues is IP protection. You would say that, in month 6, we're going to approach getting this patented, or we've done a preliminary patent search and haven't found it. So tell us the challenges think about what questions are in the judges' minds on why your idea may not be feasible, and then tell us how you're going to solve that.
And the other thing judges will look for, frankly, is, if your idea is defendable or defensible, let's say. In other words, if it's a very cluttered market, it might be difficult to protect what you're doing. However, if it's kind of a new space that you can put a moat around and you can demonstrate that, well, suddenly the appeal of your idea just probably went up. Now, that's a great place where you can use the library resources. Sarah Hyman over there, wonderful resource. She'll be speaking with you during one of the workshops. That would be a great place to begin to explore that.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Sure, it's a good question.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to reach Sarah, I dropped down a little link in the chat section for you guys.
I would recommend getting that appointment early because A, she books up fast, and B, actually some of this stuff will be very helpful for your concept paper, even though her presentation last year was after the concept paper phase. But get her booked early and she'll help you out a lot. It seems, again, I think like David said on the intro, it seems silly, like the library, but they have subscriptions to like tens of thousands of dollars subscription like services for business. Yeah. They have access to incredible market resources that will help you. Things that would take you hours and hours to Google and you might not even get it right, you'll find it in minutes.
It also helps with the judge if you say the source for my target market size is IBIS World or Mergent Intellect or
Right.
Pitch Book, instead of saying, if 350 million people only buy one of our product, we're going to be rich. That's secondary
Try that, but
research.
probably not going to work. But it gives you credibility, right?
Yeah.
And it shows that you've done your homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I just want to touch base with Sarah. Her workshop will be before the concept paper for this year. It will be workshop 3. So make sure that you carve out your time. Definitely join that one.
Yeah, I think we pulled that in earlier this year because we thought.
Yeah, that will be on February 7th of this year.
But again, if you go to the website, the librarian, there's an entrepreneurship website. You don't have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
All the links are there right now. And we
And
use
also,
it.
Jen, I think you mentioned, or David mentioned, I believe you're going to have examples of concept papers on the website, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you can go there now and begin to get a sense or flavor for, what do these things look like? What is contained inside of them? What approaches did different teams use, over the years? I don't know if the ones we're going to have up there are just from last year or if it's just a collection of them that we have. But that's a great place to start as well, just so you kind of get in that frame of mind. Okay, here's kind of what I need to do. Here's what they're looking for. It tends to be a very visual document that you put together. Think of it as like a story that your parents would read to you when you were a kid, kind of thing, like a picture book. It's something that's visually engaging. It's a story that's compelling, simple to understand. And the judges are basically thinking, who review the concept papers, wow, I want to know more about this. So that's what you're trying to get, because you want to move into that boardroom round.
Yes, and the one of the concept papers that is on the website is the actual concept paper that you saw in the presentation earlier, where it has like the little four pages, but in the website you'll be able to see what exactly are in those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Others.
So Dan, if you don't mind, I've been on Zoom since 11 o'clock.
It's okay. It's okay.
So,
I can stay a few more minutes, but I'm happy to, take this opportunity to answer any other questions. Thank you, Larry. We'll see you.
Thank you, Larry.
I'll see you on Monday night.
Well, actually, you and I have to talk.
I know.
So I don't know if you're available tomorrow, but we got to put that workshop deck
Just
together.
in time, but don't let them see the magic behind the scene.
All right.
Right.
Thank you, Larry.
See you, Larry. So anything else, folks?
Yeah.
Hi, yeah, everyone.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Sorry, I joined a few minutes late. I was running late. I had a class.
Okay.
I'm actually Juan Felix. I'm a third year here at UCI. I'm just kind of wondering if you guys had like the pre-recording or like a recording of the first 30 to 20 minutes, just to kind of give myself an idea. From what I've been listening right now, I'm hearing that's kind of product based, what you guys are looking for, or what exactly?
No, it can be service. It can be a whole range of things. I mean, we have 5 tracks. So we have a business products and services track. I mean, that could be a physical product. It could be a SaaS platform or a SaaS solution, right? We have consumer products. We have separately consumer services. Life sciences, biotech, medtech type solutions, and then social enterprise. So, ideas with the social aspect to them. Like Caleb's company that he brought forward. So anyway, so there we can accommodate anything. Any type of idea forward. What we were talking about earlier that you may not have heard is we were talking about that the idea really it needs to be realistic, right? It just can't be just totally off the wall. And the presentation was recorded. So Jen, I think, is posting or will post a link at some point.
Okay, and do you guys, this is gonna be on the website, right? On the New Venture Competition website, where I can like see some of the terms and conditions, just to kind of make sure, that the idea I have kind of aligns with one of the set of 5 pillars that you guys have.
Yeah, in the presentation, all the T's and C's are in there. Pretty straightforward, and there were a lot of questions around that tonight. The main thing is, the competition is primarily for UCI affiliated people. Primarily current students first and foremost, and then secondarily, alumni, staff, members of the community. But first and foremost, it's a learning, event. It's a learning program, educational program.
So is there a limit to the amount of people that can be on the team, or is there just the limit to the amount of
So what I would encourage you to do, one, is quickly look at that deck, because it has
definitely
all these details in there.
Okay.
And I don't want to necessarily go over it again, but
Yeah, sorry, Dan, but yeah, definitely you guys should check out the website. So the deck that we saw earlier, it's just a highlight of what is in the actual website. So the website has details of what should be like how many people should be on your team, what the maximum, the minimum, the concept paper, what needs to be in there. And I think, okay, so Alan has a question, Dan. How many first round submissions do you normally receive? And only 10 make it to the next round?
No,
what are my odds?
I'm happy to answer it. I've been involved for a long time, so I generally have the stats in my head. But last year, of course, due to COVID, we had fewer submissions than normal, and David showed that we had 85, which is still substantial given COVID. I mean, I was thinking if we had 50, we'd be lucky, but we actually got 85. So I was certainly encouraged by that. Of those, we took about 50 went into the boardroom round, into round 2. So the odds are pretty darn good. And once you make it into the boardroom round, I mean, you have to think right away, you've got a 20% chance of winning. Okay. So your odds just went up pretty quickly. We tend to limit it to about 10 teams per track, because otherwise it's a very long day and we can't get judges to stay that long, because they're back to back slots where your teams will be presenting. Yeah, so it's I forget now. I was going to add something else, but I forget what
I guess I can ask another question for you and Steve here too, because both of you guys were judges before. What makes you what is like the point that you see on a concept paper that you said, this is the one that I have to keep? How do you make that selection?
Well, we do. All the papers are going to be judged by a panel of judges, so we don't have just one person judging. We have typically 3, 4, 5, 6 people judging concept papers. So we have an average score. It's not, so if one person has some sort of a bias, it's not gonna, and we threw out the high and lows. So that way, if someone, for whatever reason, really hates your idea, it's not gonna screw things up. I mean, we've done this for a long time, so we really try and be fair about it and give you a fighting chance. And the judges have a rubric that they use, go through and make sure that you've touched on certain things that we've provided for you to, instructed you to touch on up front. I would say the concept papers that are extremely engaging through imagery or big stats, that are very simple to understand and that kind of tell a compelling story right up front. Those are the ones that grab you. Like Caleb tonight when he spoke, he basically gave his little elevator pitch. That's the kind of thing that you could use almost at the start of your concept paper, or a shorter version of that, but kind of set the stage and then tell them why it's a great idea and list out, again, the concept paper, it's kind of like the outline. All right. And then the pitch deck, when we get into round 2, actually begins to put a lot of meat on the bones of that skeleton. So by the time you hit that boardroom round and it's time to pitch, trust me, you're going to know your business, your idea, your industry backwards and forwards.
Just to reinforce Dan's comments there, one thing I noticed as a judge is you have to address every issue. Otherwise you get a 0, and that 0 is going to really hurt you. So at least have something, even if it's just a phrase in your presentation. At least at least as a judge, I can give you a low score, but at least I'm not going to give you a 0.
Right. They covered that.
Yeah. And then the second thing was there's at some point in the presentation, there's like a click in my mind that says that really does sound unique and differentiating and something that's really has some chance.
Right.
And
That's why
that-
it's compelling. Something
Right.
that is
Right.
new, is novel, that touches a segment or niche of the market, a need of a particular niche that hasn't been addressed before. It could even be combining a couple things that already exist out there into a new approach, potentially, a new way to use them or combine them. But again, we really want to, this is for your own benefit, for your own learning. So, to take someone else's idea and use it and take it forward, I mean, what are you going to learn from that? I mean, it's ethically, that's not a great thing either. We want you to really begin to feel, to understand what it is to take an idea or take your vision forward. It's not easy. I mean, for a lot of us who have been part of startups in the past, and I've been part of several, it's tough. And there's so many considerations that aren't obvious, that you haven't ever thought about. And we help try and turn on a lot of those light bulbs. We can't do it all, but at least we kind of get you moving in the right direction with it. And hopefully Caleb and Nate can attest to this. Hopefully it was a springboard for them, to take off to the next level. That's what we want to try and accomplish. But to do that, you have to, even if you're like, this is not your forte, telling great stories, find another team member who's good at that. Okay. And the concept paper, you don't have to present in person. So you can be a good writer and you can still develop a great concept paper. You can be a good graphic artist. You can develop a great concept paper. If you can find a couple people up front to join your team, it's going to be that much easier than you're not doing it all on your own. But again, it really comes down to fresh, innovative thinking, novel ideas, compelling. Make it compelling. Tell a compelling story. That's what's going to get the judge's attention, because all you're trying to do is get that judge to say, I want to know more about this idea. In the end, that's all that matters. And you want to just float a little bit higher than the next guy out there. So you make that cut, right? And get into the next round. Sounds easy, I know, but trust me, the concept paper is the easy part. The pitch deck is the tough one. You may think, oh, how difficult can 10 slides be? It can be really difficult. And to be able to do it in a way that gets people to say, well, I'd consider opening up my checkbook and writing you a check right here. But we'll get you there. We'll kind of shepherd you down this path.
Yeah, and we will have this upcoming Monday. It's your great first start. It's going to be your first workshop, and that's basically how to come up with a winning idea and how do you form your winning team. Right.
So we'll get into this in a little bit more detail and give you some other thoughts. I don't want to steal the thunder from Monday, but Larry and I will be driving that one. We're actually combining two. In years past, this would have been two different workshops, but because we had to delay the start of the competition due to Omicron, we had to compress a couple workshops so that we could keep on the same schedule and finish at the end of May, about the same time school finishes up as well. So anyone else? And I'll probably can take one more question, then I have to leave as well. But I really appreciate people taking time tonight. Nate and Caleb, thank you so much. And Steve, these are part of the people who have been part of this for several years. It's great to have their perspectives here. So thanks for sharing, for staying this late and sharing and participating. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dan and Steve and Nate and Caleb as well. And thank you guys being here, hanging out until the last minutes.
Yeah. But again, we share a lot of things that we're not sharing in the main presentation, right? So it's a great opportunity here to get a little bit of a leg up on everyone else. Again, we're here to help. So, all of us older folks are here because this is part of our give back. Most of us have been in business for many, many, many years. 40 years in my case. Steve, probably similar for you. And we have a lot of the know-how. You have these great ideas, but you may not have been out in business for years. You don't have the know-how, but together, collectively, we can help you figure out what you need to know and put together a winning formula, a winning plan. Anyway, but best of luck. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun in person. So I really look forward to those workshops, if we can get back to those where we're in person and we can all, I can get to know you, you can get to know us individually, organically through the mixers that we hold. Those are the networking that comes out of that, the ideas that are generated there, really, really helpful, really key. And I would encourage you to participate to the greatest extent you possibly can.
Yeah, I'd mimic that. I mean, I imagine the people who are here and still here are the kind who would participate in networking events already, but I mean, take advantage. Just like reach out to people. When you see people at the networking, just go say hi and and give them like a 30-second pitch of like what your idea is. Here's my idea. And then they'll, okay, interesting. Well, how about this thought? Or have you thought about this? Or, exactly. Or the best one is, oh, there's another person I know who's right here who's interested in similar things. Why don't you guys talk and form a team? Like all kinds of organic stuff happens at those meetings.
Absolutely. So we again, we've done this for many years now. So we've figured out what works well and what doesn't, and how to help you get the most out of these various activities, these various events. So don't be shy. Hey, you're all in the same boat. So just ask for help.
If you have any questions, I'm here. And whoever hosts the workshops will be able to say a little bit after the workshop for you guys to have if you have questions on specific questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. With that, if you guys don't have any other questions, thank you so much, and have a great night.
Yeah. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone, have a good night.
Thank you so much.